Why don't I know you?
I'm new. I just moved here from Africa.
What?
I used to be homeschooled.
Wait, what?
My mom taught me at home.
No, I know what homeschool is. I'm not retarded. So you've actually never been to a real school before? Shut up. Shut up!
I didn't say anything.
Homeschooled. That's really interesting.
Thanks.
You're like really pretty.
Thank you.
So you agree?
What?
You think you're really pretty?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my god, I love your bracelet. Where did you get it?
Oh, my mom made it for me.
It's adorable.
So fetch.
What is fetch?
Oh, it's like slang from England.
Hello and welcome to the Weekly Reel podcast. My name is Ken.
And my name is Jeremy.
And today we actually have a special guest. Jackie, do you want to say hi to the podcast world?
Hello, everyone.
That voice you heard was Miss Jackie English, and she is here making her first appearance on the podcast. And so, Jackie, how do we all know each other?
We all met from church back in 2013, I believe.
Yes, we did. Wow, I can't believe it's already been 7 years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, time flies by really fast.
And it's actually pretty cool too because me and Jackie are close friends. We've known each other for the 7 years, and we actually worked together at the credit union that I talked about in our prologue episode. How long have we been at the credit union, Jackie?
3 years now.
Oh my goodness, time flies. Well, you know what? We are so glad to have you with us, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, for sure. We always love having guests on the show, and you're actually our first female guest.
Hey,
Represent.
represent.
Exactly. No, we were definitely glad to have you with us, Jackie. And so today we will be talking about Mean Girls. I mean, after all, it is the Wednesday before October 3rd. But before we do talk about Mean Girls, I want to kind of make this podcast episode current. And so within the last week, I know that there was a new WandaVision trailer that did just get released. Have you seen it yet, Jeremy?
I have seen it. It's very strange.
I agree. Jackie, have you seen the new WandaVision trailer yet?
I've seen parts of it, and I agree with Jeremy. It's very strange.
Yeah, it is. Definitely. And so, Marvel, right around the time they released the new WandaVision trailer, basically announced that they had to reshuffle their Phase 4 schedule. And so Black Widow had been the opener for the brand new Phase 4. But now with the reshuffling of the schedule, WandaVision now will replace Black Widow as the MCU's Phase 4 opener. And so, guys, I wanted to ask you, and we'll start with Jeremy, just so that Jackie can get a little warmed up with the podcast. Which one were you looking forward to the most, WandaVision or Black Widow?
I think even before the trailer came out, I was a bit skeptical on WandaVision because I think Scarlet Witch and Vision have never really been my favorite characters in the MCU. So I would have to say the Black Widow movie I was looking more forward to. So, and this movie was supposed to come out in May, and I was really looking forward to it. And now that it's supposed to come out next year now, it's a bit disappointing. But now that the trailer has come out for WandaVision, I am looking forward to it a bit more.
Yeah, basically, Black Widow's delayed a full year now. Went from May 2020 now to May 2021. Oh man, such sad news. Well, at least Marvel gave us a little bit of good news in that WandaVision is still going to be the only, I guess, TV show or movie that's coming out in 2020. Right, Jeremy?
Yeah, I really wish Falcon and the Winter Soldier was coming out this year on Disney Plus because I remember seeing the TV spot on the Super Bowl. I was hyped for that show. So it kind of sucks that they're still having to film that show.
I know, because it would have been, I guess, leftovers with the storyline as it relates to Civil War, and that's definitely one of my favorite movies in the MCU. Obviously, because I mean, it's where it was like a team up movie without being an official Avengers movie. So definitely agree. So, Jackie, I want to ask you the same question. Which one are you looking forward to the most? Are you looking forward to WandaVision or Black Widow?
I am looking forward to Black Widow. I've been a big fan of Black Widow since she first got introduced to the Marvel world and Iron Man, and just seeing her story, get completed is what I'm excited about the most. WandaVision, I wasn't really a big fan of her until like probably Infinity War, when she fought for her man Vision, and especially in the end game when spoiler alert if no one has watched it yet, when she had that moment with Thanos, like trying to get her revenge back at him. So
Ooh, yeah.
I was really like, you can really tell if they really wanted to, she could have defeated Thanos on her own, but of course they got to play out the movie the way they need to.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I remember when Endgame came out. I think Jackie ended up seeing it before I did, even though I saw it on opening night. she she spoiled herself by watching
The
uh
bootleg version.
bootleg version. But she was like, "Oh my goodness, you have to watch it." I was like, yeah, well, I'm planning on watching it tonight."
Opening night.
On opening night. It was hilarious because during that time it wasn't really that crowded. I'm sorry, that busy with work, right? And so you were actually watching it in between calls when we were still both
Yes.
in the call center. It's pretty funny. Oh man. Well, you know what? I'm actually gonna go against both of you guys. I'm actually looking forward to WandaVision more, and here's why. And it's really easy because WandaVision's coming out before Black Widow.
True.
And like for me though, like the trailer did help me out in terms of like like a concept. It's out of the ordinary. I like how they're now gonna start introducing new characters that I hear may be big for the overall story for Phase 4. And and the Infinity Saga was so that was so crazy. I mean, the fact that they had like 23 or 24 films or whatever it was, I still don't know the exact count. But they had so many films, they were able to establish this world. I mean, not just on Earth, but obviously they expanded it to other worlds. But now, you know what? We're going from the movie theaters into streaming. And so I'm curious to see how Marvel and Disney can do a big budget TV show. And that's the reason why I'm looking forward to the most because, you're going to get, I don't know how many episodes they're probably going to do, maybe around 8. I'm not sure what that is. I didn't do the research on that, but just to be able to get more time with both with Wanda and Vision, and like these two said, you didn't really spend too much time. It wasn't like my favorite characters. I mean, I did like Wanda a little bit just because I like Elizabeth Olsen, but you didn't really spend too much time with them, and I feel like this show will allow us to do so. And so you have to go against you guys on this one. So
It's true. The trailer is pretty crazy.
yeah, I mean, and there's some rumors. I don't want to speculate on this episode. We'll get into that maybe when it actually does get released later on this year. But I mean, I'm hearing rumors. I'm like, ooh, that'd be pretty cool if they were true and kind of expand that world and kind of revisit certain characters that we haven't seen in a while too. So I'll leave that little nugget out there for the next time we do talk about the MCU, especially new content. But we're moving on now. Jackie, me and Jeremy have this podcast ritual where, I mean, it started when we were still planning for the podcast and, just to kind of warm up and kind of develop this chemistry that we're starting to build. We wanted to keep things current and talk about like a movie show. Talk about a movie or a TV show that we watched in the last week. And so, Jackie, since you're our guest today, is there one movie or TV show that you want to highlight that you've seen in the last week?
In the last week, well, the last couple of weeks, actually, I've been watching the new show on HBO called Lovecraft County. It's so good. And I feel like even though the show is like set in the 50s, 1950s, it's still very relevant now. It's basically like a horror drama show. And it focuses a lot on racism and how it's, now it's still very much alive. Racism, like, it's still the same. So it's a fun watch. And like, it's also kind of sci-fi. So there's a lot going on. And it's also produced by Jordan Peele.
Oh yeah, I mean, were you able to watch any of his like big releases on the big screen?
Oh yeah, of course. Like Get Out, Us was like my favorite.
Yeah, it was so random and weird, but
Yes.
it was pretty entertaining, right?
Hmm.
Oh man, I agree with you. I actually I don't think I told you yet, but I did start Lovecraft County. I watched the first episode and I'm like, ooh, this is pretty crazy.
Ooh, nice.
I ended up starting it kind of late in one evening, so I didn't get to finish the first episode just yet, but it was already starting to get crazy. But I started getting sleepy only because I started it really late. But I liked what I was seeing already. They did a pretty good job of setting up, the characters kind of in the beginning. It was kind of slow in the first part, but then I could tell that right where I stopped, it was getting pretty crazy. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I might actually share that maybe next week. I'll probably start binging it now that there's a lot more episodes.
Yes, you'll probably get hooked like I did.
No, I hear a lot of good things about Lovecraft County. Some people are even just saying that it's the best show that's currently out right now. Do you agree with that?
I agree with it. And I don't know if you guys watched it, but it kind of reminds me also of Watchmen, the one that HBO also put out a couple months ago. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually the TV show that I shared last week in terms of like because I think our opening segment, Jeremy, was like favorite TV show within the last year, right? Favorite season of TV show?
Emmys, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the one that I did mention, Jackie. And I was getting
Nice.
those vibes too.
Yeah, same.
I did a quick Google search. It's actually called Lovecraft Country.
Country.
Oh, country. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Promoting the wrong title.
They don't get mad at us when they listen to this.
Thanks, Jeremy. See, it's our unofficial secretary. And see, I've only seen like half an episode, so you'll forgive me. Well, man, we're counting on you, Jackie. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
Hey, thanks for correcting us, Jeremy. Yeah, we would have got a lot of feedback on it. So, Jeremy, what movie or TV show that you want to highlight this week?
So when you told me that we were going to watch Mean Girls, and that came out in 2004, I actually watched another movie that came out in 2004, and that's Friday Night Lights.
Ooh.
And I really like that movie. I've rewatched this movie a few times now, and it's so. Have either of you seen it?
Yes, that's the one with Keanu Reeves, right?
No, that's the replacement.
That's the replacement. Never mind.
Very different movie.
It's the one with Billy Bob, right?
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, I remember watching it a
follows-
long time ago.
It's on HBO Max.
Oh, okay. I need to rewatch it. It's been a long time. I probably only seen it like once.
It's such a good story. I think. It also I feel like it really dives deep into like how much focus is on like youth sports as well, and how freaking dire it is in some parts of the country, and it's so heartbreaking for these kids when you watch the movie.
Oh yeah, like football is a culture, especially in the South, and and it starts really early. Pee wee football, and obviously with the Friday Night Lights with high school football, and then and then obviously college is huge in like the SEC country, in the South. So yeah, I need to rewatch it. I bet you know what's funny? Like I was thinking, I was like, dude, I need to rewatch like a sports movie. It's been a while since I've seen a sports movie, and so that might be it, especially since it's football season again.
I definitely recommend it. It's like so dramatic, but I feel like the first time I watched it, man, I was like crying because I love football and just
Mhm.
the way like the story goes is really good.
Well, didn't it spawn the TV show? Same
Yeah,
name.
yeah, same name TV show. I think came out a couple years after the movie, but I've never seen an episode of that show.
Oh, maybe we need to both watch that because I haven't seen an episode yet either of that. So. Well, the movie that I wanted to highlight this week is I remember, well, just kind of looking back on a lot of our previous episodes, Jeremy, we've been talking about a lot of HBO Max, a lot of Netflix, a little bit of Hulu. You know what? This is the first time that I will be highlighting an Apple TV Plus original. And I think I got 1 year free of Apple Plus TV from buying my mom her iPhone for Mother's Day. And so I have like a reminder for several months from now to cancel it. So the movie that I want to highlight is called Greyhound. It's starring Tom Hanks, Stephen Graham, and Elizabeth Shue, and it's basically a World War II inspired movie about an inexperienced captain, and he's played by Tom Hanks. And he basically has to captain and lead a convoy of ships across the Atlantic to deliver soldiers and much needed supplies to basically all their allies. And they're trying to get to Europe. And the thing is, once they leave like the United States or whatever, and they get off to like basically the middle of the ocean, they don't have any air support. And so they call that area like the Black Pit. And basically the movie, it just portrays that precarious time when they're just trying to cross the Atlantic and they encounter German U-boats. And so it's pretty crazy. It's actually a really short film for being a war movie. It's only an hour and a half. And some of the things that I liked is because it's short, it just jumps right into the story. And with the music and everything, like the suspense is really good in a lot of the action scenes. But there was a couple of things that I didn't like. One of the things that I didn't like was the CGI. I mean, it looked really fake, and I mean, especially for 2020 and for it being a movie starring Tom Hanks, and then there's Apple has deep pockets, so you would think it would have a pretty big budget, but man, that CGI looked pretty awful. And then I felt like maybe 2/3 into the movie, it got really repetitive. And so it could have probably been an hour and I would have been happy. It would have been a really good hour of TV. It reminded me of one of those battle episodes of Game of Thrones where they have like a quick setup and then they go right into the battle. I'm like, oh. And so I just thought it was a little bit longer than it should have been. So, but definitely check it out. I recommend it. So before we get into talking about Mean Girls, let's do a little bit of episode cleanup. Last week, we actually talked about Pulp Fiction, and we ran our usual weekly poll, and we have the results of that. Jeremy, do you want to tell the audience what the poll was and what the results were?
Yeah, the poll that we were running on our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook was, what was your favorite character in Pulp Fiction? Some of the choices we had were Vincent, Jules, Butch, Mia, or if they just want to write a comment in. Jackie, actually, have you seen Pulp Fiction?
Yes, I have.
Oh, so who did you vote for someone?
I did vote, and I voted for Vincent.
Oh, which perfectly lines up with, I guess, everyone else's votes, because actually 58% of votes went to Vincent. It was actually, people only voted for two people, Vincent and Jules. 58% went to Vincent, 42% for Jules.
Wow.
Yeah, like well, Vincent was played by John Travolta. Why'd you pick Vincent, Jackie? Do you remember Pulp Fiction a little bit?
I do. I just enjoyed his character a lot, and how John Travolta played him, and yeah, I think it was just funny, and just his he was just out there, and like it's just, and also how his partner was Samuel L. Jackson in the movie, so I
Yeah.
feel like they really complimented each other a lot.
Yeah, that was the first thing that definitely caught my eye. Just watching it the first time, and again during this rewatch for last week's episode, was that chemistry between John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson was so good. It was so natural. It was hilarious. So, again, well, thank you, Jeremy, for reading our results, and I want to thank you all who voted for, well, participated into this, into our poll and voting. Every Tuesday, we do run our episode related polls on, I think most of our social media, if not all, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and we run that every Tuesday following a brand new episode. And so, Jeremy, what's our social media handle?
So you can look up at Weekly Reel. That's two E's, by the way. REEL.
Yes. Well, we'll put the spelling in the episode notes.
Almost had a brain fart.
Well, we have now reached the point in our episode where we're actually going to be talking about what we came here for. And I know this will excite Jackie. In this episode, we meet Katie Heron, and she is played by Lindsay Lohan. And it's about Katie, who starts high school as a junior for the first time after being homeschooled in Africa for most of her life. She quickly discovers how life in the social jungle called high school is really like in Mean Girls. And this came out in 2004. And so, Jackie, since you are our guest, we wanted to ask you questions. Basically, this is the reason why you're on this. This is one of your favorite movies, right, Jackie?
Yes, it is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Well, Jackie, you were in high school during the time that Mean Girls came out, right?
Yes, I was 2004, right?
Yeah, it came out in 2004. Do you want to share the with the podcast audience what your the class was?
I was probably sophomore year, I believe. It was, yeah. Oh no, actually freshman, leaving freshman year, going towards sophomore. I believe that's when the movie came out.
There you go. And which high school did you go to?
I went to South San Francisco High School in California, of course.
Oh yeah, South City High represent Warriors. I mean, we graduated in different decades, though.
It's okay. We're still from the same school.
Yeah, no, same alma mater.
Yes.
Dang, I actually didn't know that about you, Jackie.
Oh
Forgot.
yeah.
So, were there actually any similarities of what you saw in the film compared to what you saw in high school? South City High compared to. Do you guys remember the name of this high school? I forgot. In Mean Girls.
Oh man, I forgot. Also,
it was in New something. Hold on, that's a good question. Let's look it up online.
Dang it, Google.
All right, I think I have it. Oh, it was called North Shore High School, and it was in Evanston, Illinois.
there you go.
So yeah, were there any similarities between North Shore and South City High?
Yes, the different groups in the school, how like the sports, the jocks, the cheerleaders, the cool kids, the band geeks. My school had all that too.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I wonder how different it was when I went to high school versus when you went to high school versus what Jeremy experienced in when he went to high school. Because Jeremy, do you want to kind of get into like what your high school experience was since you were the most recent attendee?
Yeah, because my high school was a private high school, so there was only about a total of 180 kids at most, 160, compared to what was South San Francisco High, roughly, for you
About
guys?
1,600 total. So it's about like 400-ish per class.
Yeah, so mine was like 160, and it's weird. High school is still like there's still cliques. There's still like the somewhat nerds. It's just everything smaller. in number.
I would imagine that people actually know each other way more. Like they know too much of certain people.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit scary, in a way, especially for a high school student. You can't hide in 160 people in high school. Like
No.
when you do something like in the morning, they'll know by like the next period.
Aren't you glad we didn't go to a high school like that, Jackie?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It was already bad enough when like a certain group kind of already knew certain stuff about you. I'm like, wait, how did you know? Well, Jackie, how influential was Mean Girls to your own high school experience?
To be honest, it wasn't really. Aside from like the different groups and cliques, um, my school when I went, it was very diverse. Like it wasn't just school full of Caucasian people and then two African Americans and then the two token Asian people. Like it was pretty evened out. So and Mean Girls wasn't like Mean Girls. It had like it was very limited. And also, come to think about it, watching the movie, it didn't seem like there was too many people that went to that school. Like it almost felt like it was a private school, like Jeremy's situation, where it was like 162 people in the class total.
Now that you mentioned, yeah, it did seem like it. Like it seemed like they really knew each other, just like Jeremy's experience.
Hmm. So that's why I don't think it was very influential for my high school history.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I remember, Jackie, one of the first things that you did mention, especially when we are kind of getting to know each other, just us being friends with like other mutual friends. I remember when Jackie told me this story about how she was in a crew in South City. I was dying, and when she told me what the name was, I was done. So, Jackie, do you want to share with our podcast audience what the name of your crew was in South City High?
Yes. So we called ourselves the Murder Mamas, aka M Dub.
that didn't make sense to me because M Dub is basically say, oh, it's a M and maybe a W. And I'm like, I still don't understand the M Dub, but while we're on the subject, do you want to explain further why M Dub is I guess the short form for Murder Mamas?
Um, it was just easier to say, I guess. And when we thought of this group, it was just all for like shits and giggles because
Yeah.
like we've noticed or like we heard that there were other groups in the high school that I went to. There were like groups that were naming themselves, so we thought it would be fun just to do it for fun and to kind of like make fun of the other groups for even thinking of doing that, like naming a group.
Well, how many people were in Murder Mamas?
There was probably like 5 or 6 of us, from what I remember.
Oh, so it's actually
Wow,
bigger than the
popular.
plastics. I know. It's bigger than the plastics. So, were you guys like were you ladies like the plastics?
Oh no, not at all. If anything, like if they were to do a parody of the movie, we would be like the movie that would make fun of Mean Girls. We were just all about having a good time and laughing at each other.
Oh, so were you like any of the characters in Mean Girls? You were your friends?
Um, if anything, I feel like we related more to Damien. And Damien in the movie was a guy. And for him, like, like, of course, like you can tell he was, he played a gay character in the movie, but he was just all about being himself and having fun and like don't care about what anyone has to say about what he does or how he looks or how he acts. And, I feel like myself and the girls that were in the group that I was, that I was friends with, and like we didn't care. Like we were just all about having fun and having a good time in high school.
Oh man, do you still remember a lot from high school? Like the memories, especially with the old crew.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's too many memories. Sometimes I wish I didn't remember those memories, but
Wait, have you had your tenure yet?
yes.
Oh, you have. Yeah, you have.
But it was canceled because not enough people RSVP.
Oh, jeez, that sounds about right. I don't think I went to I don't think I went to any of my reunions, 10 or 20.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
like out through the years, I got like not antisocial, but it's just a little bit anxiety. Do I really want to see all those people that I really didn't talk to as much in high school?
I know, right? Well, Jeremy, wait, when is your 10 year?
My 10 year is what? 2024.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be, over COVID by then. Do you think you're gonna wait? Do you guys have reunions at all?
Yeah, I think they do. I know my brother, he went to the same high school, but he didn't go. So
Oh,
we'll see what happens in 4 years. Let's see
4
if
years.
if I'm wanting to go.
Oh man. Well, guys, let's get into some Mean Girls topics. And so the first topic that I thought of for the first half of this podcast episode was what was the first thing that you thought of that made Mean Girls as what was Lacey Chabert's name again? I forgot.
Gretchen Wieners.
Gretchen Wieners. Yes, her dad was the inventor of toaster strudel, right?
Yeah.
Well, what was the first thing that you thought of that made Mean Girls? And I'm gonna try to do my best Gretchen impression. What made Mean Girls so fetch?
That's a good question.
Jeremy, go ahead. Take this one first.
Well, it all depends on how you interpret what fetch means. But
True.
I feel like Mean Girls feels so early 2000s. And for some reason I really like that. It's like a product of its time, cuz it's so weird that the movie itself, it doesn't know if it wants to be like the late 90s anymore or not. It feels so weird. And like, for example, the actors for everyone in this movie looks like they're like 30 years old or 25 or 30 years old. I'm like, my high school did not look like this at all. But I think that's what makes it so special, in a way. Mean Girls is it's so funny, and I think there's so many like parodies off of this movie as well, and it feels special because it's so weird, and it came out at the right time, because I don't feel like they could come out with a movie like this with like that look of high school nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were talking about them being 30. I think most of them were around like mid 20s to 30s already. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think you're too off on that. Well, Jackie, what was the first thing you thought of that made Mean Girls so fetch?
I actually agree with what Jeremy said. How it's one of those movies that reminds you of the early 2000s. And aside from Mean Girls, like the most notable high school movie that I remember was Never Been Kissed, and that was in 1999, like one of the last movie of that era. So from 1999 to watching Mean Girls in 2004, it was like you can tell like by Mean Girls was probably going to be the last kind of its movie for that era. Because now, if you think about it, if they do a high school movie now, it's going to look so different. Like it's not going to be how we remember high school, like back in the day, or like school in general.
Yeah, basically, like if a high school movie or TV show comes out now, it's definitely for Gen Z for sure.
It's gonna be a lot of TikTok dances.
Yeah, I know. It's basically whatever you see on social media.
Mhm.
Oh man, but yeah, Never Been Kissed. I remember that movie. That was with Drew Barrymore, right?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, this is the first of our guilty pleasures. I mean, we might have to revisit. We need to revisit Never Been Kissed. Have you seen that yet, Jeremy?
I actually never heard of it.
Oh my God, you need to watch Never Been Kissed.
It's actually pretty good.
That was a good movie.
That might be on the list, actually.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, for me, I actually kind of went with something that was actually within Mean Girls, because I mean, I agree with everything that both Jeremy and Jackie just mentioned in terms of like the early 2000s. It totally looked early 2000s. It even sounded early 2000s with the music that they had playing for the soundtrack. I was like, oh man, it was good. It was good because during that time I was in college, so I kind of got a little bit of that. But for me, the thing that caught my eye was I love Janice and Damien's chemistry. I just loved it from the start when they were trying to befriend Katie, and it led into the whole introduction of the plastics when they just ditched that one class, I guess the health class. And I just loved how they just had good chemistry from the get-go, especially those two, Janice and Damien. They're just hilarious. They're like the perfect, actually, they're like the early 2000s high school version of R2D2 and C3PO. Just
There
comic
you go.
relief.
Who's R2D2?
R2D2. Oh man. It's gotta be
Must
gotta be
Janice,
Damien.
right? Oh, really?
Yeah. Wait, who was the more serious one? It would be Janice, right?
Yeah, Janet's
I guess
definitely the more serious one.
Yeah. I mean, by default, because I think just Damien's hilarious in this movie.
Mhm.
Oh man. Well, let's go on to the next topic. In Mean Girls, and I actually sent you guys this during the week in preparation for this episode. I sent these guys a screen cap of the cafeteria map that Janice provided. What was it? She provided to Katie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a cafeteria map depicting where all the cliques sat. Which table would you have chosen in this fictional high school of, what was it called? North Shore High School, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And Jeremy, why don't you go ahead and take this one? Which table would you have sat in?
Well, I think just thinking about me from high school, I was not cool at all. I would probably say I would be part of the Asian nerds. Most likely. That's probably where I would be. I was definitely not one of the cool kids. And I probably was the one who probably looked like they studied too much.
You know what? I actually agree. Well, like, since we're on the subject, I actually put Asian nerds on there, but I probably thought you would have said that, but my real answer is going to be the wannabes table, because basically back in 19 whatever it was when I was in high school, I was basically like an Asian nerd like you, but like I thought I was a shit. So I was definitely in the wannabe section. I thought I was cool. I was watching pro wrestling back in the day, in the good old days with the WWE versus actually they were still known as WWF during the Attitude era, and they were going heads up in the Monday Night Wars against WCW. So I thought I was cool back then, but really I was an Asian nerd. So I probably would have sat in the wannabes. Well, Jackie, with the Murder Mamas, where would you be sitting?
This was tricky because when I was in high school, we didn't really have we're gonna sit at this table of the cafeteria, because we did have a cafeteria, but we also had like outdoor benches. So I was more towards like sitting at the outdoor benches. But if I was to be in the cafeteria, I would have probably been with the cool Asians or the wannabes.
I could definitely see that. I could see that. Just because, I don't know, I would imagine the way your personality is now is how you were back in the 2000s when you're in high school, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of the life of the party.
Yeah, I could say that.
Well, didn't you say before that, well, you even used to collect kicks, right?
Shoes?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even till now, I enjoy buying like the coolest Nike shoes I can find that I can afford also at the same time. But yeah, definitely in high school, I remember everyone was really into buying shoes and like different sneakers and what was like popular.
Yeah. Well, so that would make you either cool, the Asian cool, or or really wannabe.
Yeah.
So
or
there is
be
that fine line, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, let's move on to the final topic that we have for the first half. Obviously, Mean Girls featured that burn book. that infamous burn book. And so, if there was a burn book in your high school, and Jeremy, us, we definitely wouldn't be on there because it was mainly for girls. But just for argument's sake, just for this episode, if there was a burn book in your high school and you were in it, what would it say about you? And Jackie, go ahead and take this one first.
I think it would have said Jackie was too or super loud and funny, but would get quiet out of nowhere. So she could be a little weirdo at times.
Do you think that's still, I guess, accurate now?
I think so, because I still see there's times where I can be super loud and outgoing, but then there's times where like I just stay quiet and I just observe, and I can see where people would think that's pretty weird of someone for being really loud and all of a sudden just shut down and just stay quiet.
Hey, but you know what? All of us can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh man, Jeremy, what would the burn book say about you when you were in high school?
Yeah, so I actually prepared a little bit of a story for you guys about what happened to me in high school. I don't think I've actually ever told anyone about this. Maybe one person. So I'm sharing it here on the podcast for the first time. And if these people from my high school hear this, which they won't, or they won't even remember, but I remember. Anyway, again,
exclusive. It's a Mountain View exclusive.
And so, because remember that scene in Mean Girls when Regina sees that girl's skirt and she's like, "Oh, where'd you get that skirt? It looks so good." And then, but then later on, she says, "Oh, that skirt is hideous," right?
Yes, I remember that.
And so Katie, when she sees that, that reminds her of when Regina asked her about her bracelet from the beginning of the movie. The same exact thing happened to me. So there were some mean guys in high school. So what they did to me, I remember I took it as such a compliment too. Because they were like, one of the guys came up to me and was like, "Oh, nice shoes, man." I'm like, "Thanks." It's like, "Where'd you get them?" I'm like, "Oh, just anywhere," and all that stuff. And it's like, "Oh, they're really cool." I'm like, "Oh man, that was so nice of him." And that was such innocent me. And then later on, I figure out that another one of the loner guys like me had the same shoes as me. And the same guy and his group of friends pulled that same thing with him. And then after they said that to him, they walked away. And it's like, "Man, his shoes are so ugly," and all that stuff. And I was like, I had the same shoes.
Oh, Jeremy.
So yeah, in the burn book though, it would probably be like the short Asian kid that can't dress well.
Wow. Well, do you think that's still accurate now?
Well, yeah, I'm still short. And I try to dress a little bit better.
So it's only partly accurate.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a story like Jeremy, but I think if there was a burn book from when I was back in high school, again, back in the 1900s, I think it would say, "Oh, Ken thinks he's so cool and so fetch, but he's just a huge dork with bad skin." And you know what? That's still probably accurate. I still think I'm cooler than I actually am. So
high school, man.
I know. So brutal. So brutal. Anyway, speaking of high school, and me and Jeremy, we always like to include the audience into this conversation that we do have with the Weekly Reel podcast. And so this week, our question to you, the audience, is what is your favorite high school themed film? And so if you do have any feedback, please hit us up on our Twitter. What's our Twitter again, Jeremy?
Twitter @Weekly Reel.
Yes. And or if you have more of a long form answer, if you want to kind of get into it, why, whatever movie is your favorite high school themed film, you can always send us an email. And Jeremy, what is our email address?
So our email is weeklyreelpod@hotmail.com. Right, Ken?
No, Hotmail? Who uses Hotmail still? Oh my goodness. You know what? Guys, this is our real email address. It is weeklyreelpod@gmail.com. And so, Jackie and Jeremy, let's go ahead and take a quick break.
Okay, we came to the second half of our podcast today, and we're going to start off with our weekly reel awards. So, Jackie, the weekly reel awards are like these fun little awards that we give to some of the scenes or characters, just different topics of the movie. And in this case, it's Mean Girls. So, our first award is the Marissa Tomei / Aunt May Award for What Has Aged Well. And I know that, there hasn't been a lot of stuff that has aged well. So I actually want to combine that with the Happy Hogan Mullet Memorial Award for what has not aged well. So if you have either one, what has aged well or what has not aged well?
For me, for what has aged well, I picked Amanda Seyfried. She played Karen in Mean Girls, and in the movie, she didn't really have many lines and parts, but she did play one of, the girls in the main group, the Mean Girls. So, but now if you look at her list of movies that she's made, like she's been in a lot of movies like Ted, Mamma Mia, Les Miserables. I don't know. I can't pronounce it.
Les Miserables.
Les Miserables. I think that's how you say it.
But yeah, she was even recently in a scary movie, You Should Have Left, which I actually watched recently, and that was pretty good also.
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. It's kind of weird because Kevin Bacon is like, half her, like twice her age, but, they played a really good couple in the movie.
Yeah, they addressed that in the movie, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Oh, you watched it, Jeremy?
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, it was a fun watch.
Yeah, Amanda. Wait, how do you say her last name again?
Well, you know what? I looked it up before we recorded the podcast. It's Amanda Seyfried.
Seyfried. Okay, because that last name has always escaped me for the longest time. Yeah, she was really good in this movie. I think she's pretty underrated for how much screen time she actually got. She was really good.
Yeah, I kind of wish she had more lines, and more screen time, just like you said, Jeremy. Just because I definitely thought that she stole the show sometimes, at being Karen. She was just hilarious throughout. Like all of her one-liners were so good.
Mm-hmm. Her and her ESPN.
Yes.
Oh man.
So Ken, what was your winner for the what has aged well or not aged well?
Well, I went with what's funny? Like when I thought of the winner for this, I was like, okay, what has aged well? The Marissa Tomei / Aunt May Award. But I mean, really, it could be the other one too, the Happy Hogan Mullet Memorial Award. Well, anyway, either way, the award goes to, I felt like the whole Jingle Bell Rock, basically their performance. It was just so inappropriate back then to be a high school holiday performance, and it's still inappropriate now. I just thought it was very inappropriate with some of the moves that they had, but it was still hilarious though, because with Amy Poehler being Regina's mom, I just thought she was hilarious when she was trying to be that cool mom, and she was still dancing with the choreography and everything. She had the moves. I just thought it was still hilarious. So I felt like that scene still aged really well for me, and that it was still pretty entertaining. And I think it's like, if you had to pick a standout scene, that probably might be it for a lot of people anyway.
Yeah, because that scene I think is actually pretty iconic in the movie, even though it is weird to think about like these high school girls performing this type of Jingle Bell Rock. It's very inappropriate. But in my case, my winner is kind of similar to Jackie. I actually picked the head of the Plastics, Rachel McAdams, for the same reasons, because this is like early in their career, and just like the career ahead of them with her in like movies like Spotlight, Doctor Strange, and the Sherlock Holmes movies. It's so weird to think that these actresses came from Mean Girls.
I agree.
It's pretty crazy that there's so many people, named people, in this movie. I forget how many people like from SNL or like Rachel McAdams, Lindsay Lohan, that were in this movie. They're named actors and they have been leads in other TV shows or films.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this movie is a bit of a, I guess, underrated with its cast. I guess if you're looking from the eyes from back then. Our next award is the I Am Groot Award for favorite character. So, Jackie, who's your favorite character in Mean Girls?
My favorite character was Regina George, played by Rachel McAdams. Only because I think, like, to be honest, like, I think every girl in high school always wanted to be the HBIC, like, the one that everyone wanted to be and wanted to worship. And, to be honest, I think every girl is that way. Like, we should all just, worship ourselves and be that person. And Regina was the one. Like, she owned that school.
Yeah, I felt like one of the most iconic scenes, and I think you may have sent me the GIF yesterday, Jackie. Remember that one scene when, like after Regina was like spreading all the copies of the burn book or whatever, and like the chaos ensues, and then they like at first had it kind of zoomed in on Regina, and then it kind of zoomed out, and then she's got that basically that pose like she owns the school, and then there's like
Mhm.
under. I thought that was like one of the best shots of the film because she is the HBIC.
Yes, I definitely agree.
One thing that Aaron said, I think, encapsulates that so well is that when Katie asks him, like, why do you like Regina? And he's like, she's the only one that's like upfront with everything that she is, even though she's like this evil person, this mean girl. He likes her or he's willing to accept her because she's honest with everything that up front, compared to everyone else in high school is just hiding that. So I think that's how she was able to like be the head of the school, because she knows who she is. So I thought that's a good one for sure.
Totally agree.
Ken, who is your winner?
Well, I initially wanted to say Janice because she had a guest spot in season 1 of one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Smallville. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh shoot, was she? No, she wasn't Fat Amy. That was shoot, I forgot. Well, who was she again?
She was Tina Greer, the one that wanted to be like Lana.
Oh yeah, shoot, man, that's pretty crazy. That because Smallville very much also feels 2004. The whole show.
Yeah, the early 2000s. Yeah, exactly. And especially since they started in high school, I just thought it was funny. I really wanted to say her, and I did. I loved her chemistry. I mentioned it earlier with Damien. But if I had to choose a favorite character, we mentioned her a little bit before. I have to pick Karen, who was played by Amanda Seyfried, since we established how to pronounce her last name. I just thought she stole the scene in a lot of the scenes that she did appear in. Her one-liners were all hilarious. I won't mention the one that I will a little bit later on, but she had some fantastic ones like, "Oh, there's a 30% chance that it's already raining," or what was the other one? It's like, "I'm a mouse, duh," and she was pointing at the mouse ears. I just thought she was hilarious from the get-go, playing the basically the dumb blonde. And so, yep, she's definitely my winner.
That's a good one for sure. For me, I would have to say Mr. Duvall, because his dry humor was so funny to me. I love that type of humor. I guess his type of humor is similar to Ron Swanson, I guess, from Parks and Rec. Just that dry humor is so funny to me, and his chemistry with Tina Fey. Yeah. It's so weird, but at the same time, you kind of feel like teachers might be like that in
Oh,
high
yeah.
school.
Oh yeah, he was definitely trying to get at Tina Fey.
Just right from the get-go.
Yeah, Miss Norberry. He was like, "Oh hey," so awkward.
If you ever want to talk.
Yeah. He was trying to play that nice guy. Hey.
It's like maybe when my shirt's not see-through.
That was definitely a good opener. I was cracking up when I rewatched this.
Yeah, so for our next award is the Why is Gamora award for favorite quote, because we know that Mean Girls also has so many good quotes in it, and I think we have already brought up a few. But Jackie, what's your winner for the Why is Gamora award?
The winner for me was a scene between Karen and Regina when Regina when Aaron broke up with Regina, and Regina was sad. So Karen was like, you want to go do something fun? You want to go to Taco Bell? And then Regina's reply was, I can't go to Taco Bell. I'm on an all carb diet, Karen. You are so stupid. Just everything about those lines between Karen and Regina, just what the hell?
I have the same exact quote.
Oh my god.
No way. That was actually my honorable mention.
Oh, really?
That's amazing. It was just too good. Like,
And just the fact that it's Taco Bell.
yes. And it's carbs.
Yeah.
I know, literally most everything has carbs in Taco Bell. Oh my god.
Is
So
butter a
good.
carb?
Oh yeah. Regina.
Yeah, and I felt like this was like a scene that was just between them two, because they didn't really have much like dialogue between Karen and Regina in the movie. So, and the one time they did have a dialogue between them two, it's pretty iconic.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, since me and Jackie have the same quote for our winner, what was your winner, Ken?
Well, again, that was my honorable mention, but yeah, my winner. So first place for me for the Why is Gamora award is this, and it's so iconic, and we'll probably see this in a few days. It's when Katie has her voiceover, and she says, "On October 3rd, he asked me what day it was." Then Katie says online, "It's October 3rd." Dude, whenever I think of that of Mean Girls, I immediately think of this quote, especially since Mean Girls Day is coming up on October 3rd in a few days. Oh man, it's so good. By the way, just randomly, I mean, we're recording this on a Wednesday. Did anyone wear pink today?
I did not wear pink.
No, I didn't wear pink today.
I forgot.
Such a lost cause, especially since I didn't know what that reference was last week because I hadn't watched Mean Girls in forever. And then Jeremy was like, "It's Wednesday. We have to wear pink, right?" And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, that flew over Ken's head like Drax.
Yeah. Oh, and Amanda Seyfried too, I guess.
Yeah. For our next award is the Avengers Assemble Award for favorite scene. So this was an interesting one. Jackie, do you have a favorite scene?
Yes, my favorite scene was actually towards the end of the movie. Well, basically the end of the movie when they were at the dance and Katie won Queen for, I believe was it like a homecoming dance or whatever it was.
The Spring Fling.
Spring Fling. There you go. She won Queen. And, she went up there and, decided to do a whole speech. And her speech was basically, like validating that everyone is a queen and like everyone's beautiful, whatever shape, size, race, like whoever you are, like you're beautiful. And I think that's real. Like I felt like that was the most sentimental part of the movie, like putting it out there, because the whole movie was like basically competition with each other. But that part, like, because a lot of girls out there, even now, like I'm sure has low self-esteem, and like just putting it out there, like, hey, you're beautiful too. Like, don't ever think you're not. That was just like a really good scene for me to finish the movie up with.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely one of those like, here's the message of the movie type of moments, and it's definitely a message that I think a lot of girls and especially going through high school should follow for sure. And Mr. Duval had to ruin the moment. It's like Katie, you don't have to give a speech.
And his speech was perfect. Like, don't be a hater, Mr. Duvall.
Ken, what was your favorite scene?
Okay, mine's kind of random. It was in the middle-ish towards the latter half of the movie. It's that part where Katie just she threw a house party with her family in was it Wisconsin, and so she gets caught in a lie about having a house party for basically Aaron so that she could hook up with him. But then she had to lie to Janice and get out of basically no showing her art show, and so this is the scene when Janice and Damien's driving Janice, and she's got her head out the door, and she's basically just laying into Katie and just basically saying, you're such a liar. You're just like the plastic. You're just like them. She's just giving an underrated performance about how really mad she is. But this whole time, Damien's just like all worried about his curfew. And so, having like that dichotomy, I was like, should I be like, oh, because Janice is like really mad, but then Damien's just giving us comic relief, and he's just like worried about, it's like, hey, it's 1:10 now, my curfew's at 1 or whatever. And then as Janice is like, saying her last thing to Katie, I forget what she says, but she's just laying into her. I love how the scene ends with Damien as he's driving away. Like, and I want my pink shirt back. I want my pink shirt back. And I was just dying after he said that. I just thought Damien was so underrated throughout this film. He was just so funny.
Yeah, because Katie had to borrow his baggy like polo shirt for that Wednesday.
Yeah, that pink Wednesday.
That was such a good scene, actually. My favorite scene was actually the montage of basically sabotaging Regina, like putting foot cream in her face cream jar, and then like feeding her like these like nutrition bars that they give to like the African kids. I'm like, dang, this is getting intense. This is really messed up. And I guess that was like the transformation of Katie kind of becoming a mean girl. I thought was pretty funny, but yeah, that was my favorite scene in the movie.
Gruel.
Oh, that's such a good one too. See, that could have been a favorite quote. Gruel.
Just a one word quote.
All right, for this next section, we're actually going to play our favorite game here on the Weekly Reel podcast, and it's the Guess the Rotten Tomatoes score. So, Jackie, if you don't know, we actually try to guess the Rotten Tomatoes score for whatever movie we're talking about this week, which is Mean Girls. And so we haven't looked it up at all, so we're playing honest. And right now, me and Ken are actually tied 6-6. So we're all tied up, me and Ken. So you can play for fun. I'll let you go first and guess your Rotten Tomato score for Mean Girls.
I want to guess 80%.
Oh, that's a close one. Okay, Ken?
Oh, man. It's been a while since we've had a competition, right? It's been this is our third week. We had 2 weeks where we didn't have a competition. But anyway, my guess for Mean Girls is a little lower than Jackie's. I'm guessing 74.
Shoot. Oh man. All right. 74. I guessed 76.
Ooh, right in the middle.
So if I'm higher or you're higher or lower, shoot. Here we go. I'm gonna look it up right now, so we're playing honestly over here. Mean Girls on Rotten Tomatoes is at 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's higher than I expected. Jackie would have won.
Oh, wow.
Basically, that's like the third time that a guest has beaten us.
Yeah, the guest keeps beating us, Jackie. Like last week, we were with Aldrin for Pulp Fiction, and he beat us also.
Aw.
So yeah, 84%. So Ken, I guess
Wow.
technically I get the point between us, but in this week, we're technically both losers to Jackie.
It's okay. You guys are winners in my eyes.
Oh, thanks, Jack.
Jackie.
You're welcome.
So what's the score now?
So now I guess I'm up 7-6.
Man, I was very pessimistic. I thought Rotten Tomatoes wouldn't like this movie as much.
I actually thought I was going too low. I'm like, oh shoot, they're gonna give it a high score. But yeah, I guess we messed up this time.
Like every episode with a guest.
I know we're not on the same wavelength as them for sure.
And I think we're undefeated. Or no, we're winless against them. I think Jacob beat us both times, right?
I wouldn't be. I think he did beat us in the Nightcrawler episode. So if you want to see us lose, all you listeners out there, just watch all the episodes with the guest. We lose all of them. Spoiler alert. Our next and final award is the I Love You 3000 award, where we rate the movie from 1 to 3000. So Jackie, where would you rate Mean Girls from 1 to 3000?
I'd say 2,600. 2,600.
What is that? Let's see. 2,600.
Ken?
3,000. 86.7%.
Oh,
Hey, all right. That's a good one.
Nice solid B.
Almost B plus.
Yeah.
How about you, Ken?
Well, I love the film. This is actually a good score in my rating. In my rating system, if I had to give Mean Girls a rating from 1 to 3,000, I give it 2,376 for a rating of 79.2%.
ooh.
Nice. That's a good one too.
How about you, Jeremy?
I would give it because I gotta preface this. Like, I do like the movie too. It's like I'm one of those stone faced people that like comedies never really faze me much. So I gave it a 2130 out of 3000. So
What's
it's
that percentage?
71%. That's still a good score for me. Like in comedies, that's still really good. It's just comedies are one of those things that it's hard to impress me.
Wow. Okay, I'll remember that moving forward.
I was chuckling throughout the movie, but I never really laughed out loud, except for the Taco Bell one.
The Taco Bell.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's because I keep seeing a lot of the Mean Girls references on social media, and it's not like you've been super active on social media, so I don't know. It's probably why I liked it more. It's still one of my favorite comedies. Definitely one up there.
Yeah, it's a good one, especially for high school comedies. It's a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Jeremy, do you want to go ahead and preview next week?
Yeah, it's about Mega City 1, home to endless crime. The police are allowed to become judge, jury, and executioner, and there's only one judge ready for what's coming. Judge Dredd in Dredd 2012. So Ken, I know you haven't seen this movie. That's why I wanted to share it with you. Jackie, have you seen Dredd from 2012?
No, I have not yet.
It's a good one. It stars Carl Urban. It's a good one. If you know him from like The Boys,
Star Trek, Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm. So Ken, I wrote down in my notes, tell Ken not to watch the trailer.
Okay. So I won't watch a trailer. I remember watching the Stallone Judge Dredd. Can I watch that one again? Because I kind of want to watch both this coming week.
Yeah, feel free to watch that one and compare it with this new one. It's, I think, vastly different. I tell you not to watch the trailer for the 2012 version just because the marketing was not good for this movie.
Okay.
There are like spoilers in the trailer, so I definitely recommend don't watch the trailer. This was like the point where they were really pushing 3D, and so I would say avoid all the marketing stuff, but the movie itself I recommend.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Definitely looking forward to watching something new again next week.
Cool. So, Jackie, before we go, would you like to share any of your social medias where they can find you on Twitter, Instagram, MySpace,
Zenga.
Zanga?
I don't even remember my MySpace name anymore. Well, you can find me on Instagram for sure. Jacqueline English _
Nice.
And we'll put the spelling on the episode notes. That way, if you want to follow Miss Jackie, you can.
Look down in the description below. So, Ken, how about you? Where can they follow you on the interwebs and social medias?
Yeah, well, I'm still on just Twitter and Instagram. Well, I'm on the other stuff, but I'm more active on Twitter and Instagram, and that's at freaking A. And the spelling is going to be in the episode notes. How about you, Jeremy?
For me, it's at JP_flicks on Twitter and Instagram. I don't think I've posted anything ever since we started the podcast, and this is our 10th episode. So I guess find me on YouTube, Jeremy Pullenbarrett, and find the link in the description down below. I'm more active on there than the Twitter and Instagram. So yeah. Anything else for this episode, guys?
No, I think that's it for me.
Thank you for having me, you guys. I had a great time.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it was gruel.
it was definitely gruel. No, we want to thank you, Jackie, for just taking the time out of your busy schedule for joining us. I had fun, and you know what? We told this to Aldrin. We've told this to Jacob. You know what? You're always welcome, and especially if you want to talk about one of your favorite movies. And so, just let us know, and we'll get things worked out schedule wise.
Yeah, I love talking. Yeah, go ahead, Jackie.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing.
All right. So thank you guys once again for coming on the show. Thank you, Jackie. Once again, thank you for coming on the show and talking Mean Girls with us. So next week, we are talking about Dread. And we'll see you next time on The Real.